Okay, Shalom Aleichem. One more idea for everybody. Parshas Bamidbar. Rashi points out, the very first Rashi in Parshas Bamidbar, in Sefer Bamidbar, is the constant repetition of the counting of the Jewish people. And Rashi wants to know what the reason for it is. Rashi says something that we're all familiar with. By the way, Rashi, the very first Rashi of all the 5 Chumashim, talks about Hashem's love for the Jewish people. The first Rashi in Bereshis says, why does the Torah start Bereshis? What does it mean, Bereshis? B'shvil Yisrael shenikru Reshis. Rashi, the first Rashi in Shemais, that Hashem counts Klal Yisrael because we're dear to Him like the stars. Vayikra, that Hashem called out to Moshe, Lashon Chiba. Parshas Bamidbar, Rashi says, why is Hashem constantly counting Klal Yisrael? The Lashon of Rashi is, L'haidia mitoich chibasan lefanav moine oisam kosha. Because of the love, their love, Hashem's love for Klal Yisrael, He's constantly counting us. But the Abir Yaakov says that there is a very important message in the constant counting of the Jewish people. We're all familiar with the teaching of the Zohar, that the word Yisrael stands for Yesh Shishim Ribu Oisios La Torah, that there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Also, there's an idea there's 600,000 interpretations of the Torah. What does this teach me? That every Jew has their chelek in Torah, every Jew has their letter that they're connected to, the approach that they're connected to. Did you know that until Klal Yisrael became 600,000, we didn't leave Mitzrayim? We couldn't leave Mitzrayim until we were 600,000. Because since the whole purpose of leaving Mitzrayim was to get the Torah, and each Jew corresponds to a letter in the Torah, until there were 600,000 Jews, there was no point in leaving. We couldn't receive the Torah. In other words, we needed 600,000 Jews to be able to receive the 600,000 letters. That's a new understanding of why we had to be in Mitzrayim so long. Why do we have to be in Mitzrayim so long? In other words, the 600,000 Jews, each Jew brought down one particular letter of Torah, one particular approach to understanding the Torah. So long as there were only 599,999 Jews, we couldn't leave, because that the Torah was not in its full form yet to be given to the entirety of Klal Yisrael. So says the Abir Yaakov, you know why Hashem is constantly reiterating to count the Bnei Yisrael? Actually, this is an idea that's pointed out. The Bamidbar Rabbah says we were counted 10 times. Klal Yisrael is constantly counted. Why? Says Abir Yaakov, so that Ish Esrayehu Ya'azoiru V'Ya'iru Liroy, so that one man helps their friend and encourages their friend and arouses their friend to see that if the number of Jews are equivalent to the number of letters in the Torah, that is an absolute sign that a Jew is connected in the deepest way to the Torah, and therefore we accept upon ourselves the yoke to be engrossed in Torah, Yomam V'Laila, and not to turn to the right and not to turn to the left. In other words, the purpose of constantly counting the Jewish people is so that it should enter our mind. You know how many Jews there are? There's 600,000 Jews. Do you know how many letters in the Torah? There's 600,000 letters. Why is that? What an interesting coincidence that there's the same number of letters in the Torah that there are Jews. No, it's not a coincidence. It's because every Jew is rooted in the Torah. A Jew has no existence, no entity, no life if he's not connected to Torah. So by constantly being aware and recognizing of our deep connection to the Torah, this will inspire us to be makabel upon ourselves the yoke of Torah and to delve into it as much as possible, Yom V'Laila, not to turn to the right or to the left. By the way, the remez to this is Su'u es Roish, the Rashi Tevos of Roish. It's as if, by the way, Su'u es Roish, and then it says the Rashi Tevos of Su'u es Roish are also Roish. What does that teach me? That there's 600,000 letters and 600,000 methodologies, so that it's to arouse us that the number of Jews is equivalent to the number of letters to be ma'orer us, to apply ourselves to the Torah. So the purpose of the constant counting of the Jewish people is that it should enter our minds, it should enter our consciousness of how deeply rooted we are to Torasenu HaKadosha. Rabbi Isai, have a beautiful Shabbos, have a wonderful Shabbos, Chag Kosher V'Sameach, and Be'ezus Hashem, hope to see everybody after Yom Tov. Kol Tov, good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Kol Tov.
Recording stopped.
Chag Sameach, Kol Tov, good Yom Tov.